Yeah.
So Sam and Simon are from VOA. So why don't we start, Sam, with telling us who the VOA are and what you actually do.
So the Valuation Office Agency, or the VOA, we provide property valuations and advice to support local taxation and benefits to the government and local authorities in England and Wales. That's a statutory duty as well. We also provide valuation and surveying services to other public bodies.
Great, thank you. And Simon, what's the solution that you have with Alfresco at a high level? Give us an overview.
We use the Alfresco CMS to store customer data. So anything that's submitted through the government platform to support their claims, be it a rates bill or evidence that they own the property, is submitted through there and stored in the CMS tool. And then we use the process services for the end-to-end journey for the customers. So at the point they submit a claim to a property, there's a process that's followed through to the end where it updates our legacy systems in the background.
Great, great. So why don't you share with us what the drivers were for implementing and using this?
Yeah, so we had a legislative deadline to get a new solution in place. I think central government were looking to a cloud-first policy, so we have got one of these big, heavy back ends. So this was a real opportunity to the VOA to try and carve their own routes, and that's why we wanted to move away from a sort of managed service approach and have our own cloud-based environment. That was, we were able to control ourselves, look at future development and the ongoing management and take that on ourselves internally rather than through a managed service supplier.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So were there any, so talking of government and software, were there any specific items that you had to look for?
Yes, so Simon said I couldn't say this word, but we were looking for interoperability between different products. For example, we use Mule and Drupal, so it was important that we were able to work with other products to avoid vendor lock-in. Open source was a big consideration in that decision.
Great, great. So, Simon, what was your involvement in this?
From the start, I was on the second line support team, and this is very early days of the development of the service. So we had a number of Alfresco, I believe they were architects in, and they were helping the development of the service. So my involvement at the time was very little, to the point where I worked with them to start some processes off around the supporting of the service from the second line perspective, doing daily checks, making sure the system was healthy. So it was just kind of starting those processes off at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. But I worked closely with the architect team. They were very friendly, and obviously they spared some time for our second line team, which you don't normally get from suppliers. They sat with us closely and kind of drafted what we should be looking for to support the service really when it went live.
Great, great. So, Sam, you mentioned that there were other vendors, there were other people involved in this. It wasn't just ourselves and you. So, can you tell us about the collaboration that went on as part of this project?
So, yeah, I mean, we were working with lots of new vendors, so there was lots of new things to learn. We're working outside of our comfort zone. So all of the vendors, we were looking for support from them. I think Simon spoke about the support we got there. But really for us, it was about being able to have that direct relationship with all of our suppliers so we could better get our requirements across. But also, these things build up iteratively and things happen and change. So it enabled us to respond to change better than we would have been able to under a managed service contract. And we also weren't overburdened with sort of standard support offerings, things that we possibly may or may not have wanted. So throughout the procurement and all the way through to the sort of go live, we were in touch with all our suppliers, and it was a more, I don't know, I suppose, organic way of building up this product than what we've previously been involved in. Mm-hmm.
So we've talked a lot about technology, and we've talked a lot this morning about different facets of innovation, but talk to us about the importance of the relationship with Alfresco too, and particularly support and some of the other services that were critical to you.
So the relationship really started, I joined the service management team after the go live date of April the 1st. And there was that relationship that needed building there. So we obviously we had a relationship there, but it wasn't close enough. So we started by doing a monthly talk with the CSM, customer service manager, and our assigned TAM, and we worked closely with him and Jeff Knott as well. We did some onboarding with Jeff, and we got to just know the team in Alfresco really. And it was from there we started to build a relationship and work closely with us and Alfresco. And it kind of benefited not just us, but it benefited them to know where we were with the service, what help they could provide us with improving it. So, yeah.
So all in then, and I guess this is a question for both of you, summarise how you would describe both the use of the technology with the service and kind of your whole experience, and maybe there's a lesson learned that you'd share.
Well, we've got a saying now actually, because we also implemented a new sort of overall supplier management process. So our sort of saying is he's known Jeff Knott. So that sort of gives you an idea of the service we receive. So I think the thing that we've learnt most is that you can do this, and we are doing it, and we are managing it, and it is possible. We've moved away from that heavy, clunky managed service approach with these services. Obviously, we still have those. But I think the main thing for me is that we can do it, and we are capable of sort of controlling our own destiny with our own products.
Great.
And I think your speakers earlier from Alfresco kind of highlighted the importance of security and the reliability. And being a government agency, our main concern was the security, and that's what we've got from Alfresco. It's a 24/7 service that we do, and security is our main key thing, the reason why we chose Alfresco. So it's important to us.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. I know that you guys were very busy, and we spoke briefly in the last minute they came on stage, and we really appreciate it because your story was so great. So thank you so much, and they'll be here if people want to ask over lunch, ask questions. Yeah. Thank you, Sam and Simon. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.